I'm your host, Joaquin, and this is the Football Corner reporting on the 2026 World Cup. Today, I'll be giving a recap of the 26th matchday of this World Cup. The first game that we had in this matchday was Portugal versus Spain, which ended 1-0 to Spain, but for the first 90 minutes, it was such a tight game and not many things were happening. Both teams' midfields were really struggling to make an impact, often passing the ball back into the side so much. Maybe Roberto Martinez, Portugal's former coach now, didn't have a good enough game plan for Portugal's midfield, and that's why Bruno Fernandes, Vitinha, and João Neves didn't play as well in this tournament as they played for PSG. But on Spain's side of the story, Rodri, Pedri, and even Dani Olmo didn't play as well as they played in the Euro or as they played for their club teams this year. Especially Rodri and Pedri, they just seemed a different version of themselves. Pedri couldn't make the same progressive line-breaking passes that he does at Barca, and Rodri didn't have as much of a defensive presence and a calming presence in the midfield as he does at Manchester City. Maybe this is the beginning of the end for a promising Spain generation of midfielders because Rodri is aging a little bit and they are needing to find a 10 that's a little better than Dani Olmo. It seems that he peaked at the Euro 2024. But other than the midfield, the attack for Portugal was also struggling quite a bit. Oftentimes, Ronaldo had to run back to receive the ball, and that simply isn't his function. His function is to stay on the last defender and be a poacher. I'm not sure if it was him who wanted to run back more and try to get on the ball more, or if it was an idea from Roberto Martinez, but either way, it didn't work well at all. And João Felix, he had a pretty good game, but nothing special. And Pedro Neto on the other wing didn't have his best game today. So there was little to no support for Ronaldo to get any chances and to get any touches on the ball inside of the box. And for Spain, their attack wasn't doing great either. Although Yamal was getting on the ball a lot more and he's looking better every game, I'm a big Yamal fan. I think he's so good. But this isn't, I know for me, he played well, but I also know that this isn't the best that he can be. It looks like he isn't 100% fit, but when he is, the other teams better watch out. Because he was still a handful for Nuno Mendes to deal with. And Nuno Mendes was dealing with him quite well. Because when he went out, Portugal got so much more fragile on defense, and they were worse on offense because Nuno Mendes helped so much on both sides of the field. In the end, Spain subbed in one of their most clutch players, and that's what changed the course of the game. Mikel Merino yet again scoring a late winner. He always does this either for Arsenal or Spain, and this goal that he scored starts to raise questions. With Spain's midfield trio playing a little poorly, should Merino be a starter? Should Fabian Ruiz get back into the starting 11? Although Spain passed, there are still many questions for Luis de la Fuente's side. The second game that we had in this matchday was the USA versus Belgium, which ended 4-1 to Belgium. This game, and actually more this tournament because they did start off quite well, can be resumed by the phrase that's being used so much in Mexico. Jugamos como nunca y perdimos como siempre, which translates to we played like never before, and we lost like always. In this tournament, the US seemed to be playing so well, everyone was saying why not us, but when it got to the knockout rounds, they had a little bit of a stutter against Bosnia and didn't have a fantastic game, and they still got through, which is good. But then against Belgium, they looked like the US of old. They looked like the US before Mauricio Pochettino came in. They looked like the US that played a friendly against Belgium a few months before the World Cup and lost 5-1. Except this time there was a slight improvement and they lost by one less goal. But still, it isn't good at all. And this is very concerning for the US because they exited in the round of 16, the very same stage that they exited in the last World Cup with Greg Berhalter. So if we're looking on paper, Berhalter to Pochettino had no upgrades. The US has a lot of things to solve right now, and although I don't think they should kick Mauricio Pochettino out, I do think they should be a little more skeptical and maybe not give him as much time as they thought they would initially. Now let's talk about what happened in the game. In this game, it wasn't just the US playing badly. It was Belgium coming out and showing a whole different intensity. In the other games, I had mentioned how Belgium was being slow and predictable on the ball. In this game, they were so fluid on the attack. They were quick, they were strong, they were defending well. Belgium had almost no flaws in this game. Maybe the goal that they conceded wasn't even from open play. It was yet another set piece from Malik Tillman, and they got unlucky because it took a deflection, otherwise Courtois could have saved it. Not only did they create good chances themselves, which they were struggling to do in the other games, they brought the positives from their previous games, which was capitalizing on the opponent's mistakes. Right when the US looked like they could get back into the game at 2-1, Matt Freese came out of his goal, had a weird touch with his chest, and then tried to kick the ball out, but then he thought twice before he kicked it, and his leg got kind of stuck, allowing Belgium to steal the ball and Hans van Aken to tap it into an open net. This ended up sealing the United States' fate. After this, the US barely got close to scoring, and they even conceded another one at the end, from yet another mistake passing out from the back. It's funny because in the other games, the US had never had this problem, but in this game, their defense and their midfield were just calamitous. Especially in their own box, on Belgium's first goal, they didn't communicate at all, and the ball fell perfectly to, and after Trossard's cross, the ball fell perfectly to Raskin, which is simply unacceptable when you have 3 US players surrounding it, but none of them going for it. And on the last goal as well, Freeman tried to clear it, then Richards tried to pass it out, and both went directly to the Belgian player's foot, and Lukaku ended up having a great finish to make it 4-1. A finish that Brazil could have really used against Norway, which again is why Belgium has gone further than teams like Brazil and the US, their clinical finishing. Whenever Belgium have gotten the opportunities, they have put the ball into the back of the net, and they punished Senegal, and now they punish the US for it. In the end, it's a very disappointing result for the US, but there's still a little glimpse of hope for the future, because if they play like they did in the group stage, in the next World Cup and in the next few tournaments, they can go much further. So I would still trust Pochettino as the manager. So that's it for today. Does this Belgium team have enough momentum, and are they playing well enough to beat Spain in their quarterfinal matchup? Drop your answer down below in the comments. Ciao.